Today we're going to be comparing the 24 to 72.8 to the 24 to 105 RF f4. These are two magnificent lenses, but you know what? A lot of you are wondering which one is best for you. Well, I have both, and I don't know if I'm going to keep both. I'm going to keep both. It's just who I am. But let's see if there's one better than the other for you, or maybe you should have both too. So yeah, let's get undone. Just kidding. That's a different dude that has a lot more subscribers than me. Welcome back to the channel where there is no scientific explanation of what I do. It's just random. It's all by chance. And it's not scientific at all. It's Jared-tific, which means it's just me doing some stuff. I'm not a chart guy. I'm just a natural, all natural, hanging all out there, showing you what it looks like. And then you come up with your conclusion. And I'll tell you what I think at the end, but you come up with what you think is right for you. I'm not going to tell you what's best for you. I don't know you. You don't know me, but we'll get to know each other, if you know what I mean. So we're going to go outside. I'm going to do some tests at 24, 35, 50, 70, and then obviously go to the 85, then 105 with this 24 to 105. And then here's the bonus. I'm going to be bringing these onto the Canon R7 as well. So you can see that a 24 to 70 all of a sudden becomes more like a 35 millimeter to a 111, 112. So it actually does surpass this. So does a $1,200 R7 make more sense than a $1,200 24 to 105? We will find out. Well, you'll find out, and I'll make my decision for you. Quick disclaimer, I am not doing a side-by-side comparison. I am going to show you what they do look like, but I have them labeled so you can scroll back and do your own comparison looking at the visual in the timeline. That's Jared-tific for you. Also, it was a little breezy, and Jared had a tear come down every so often because I was just crying. Also, I may have bumped the tripod a couple times, so, you know, Jared-tific. So this is the 24 to 72.8 RF L series lens by Canon at 24 millimeters. So we're going to do 24, we're going to do 35, and then we're going to do 70 millimeters, all at 2.8. I'm going to go to the f4. Then we're going to move over to the 24 to 105, do the f4 there as well, starting out because that's the lowest it could do, and then do kind of a comparison. Plus the bonus is the Canon R7. Putting these lenses on that, all of a sudden the 24 to 70 becomes more of a 35 to 110, 111, somewhere in there. So it actually exceeds that focal length, plus you have the 2.8. So maybe just having an R7 is a better solution and having a 24 to 72.8 accompanied with it. So we're gonna find out. So as you can tell, this is what the bokeh looks like. We'll back up a little bit for the tracking. And if you're curious, I use the Rode Wireless Pro. I do like it. I do a backup copy here with the Float 32-bit float. It's like a dyslexia thing when I say it out loud. But this has been an awesome mic, so I do highly recommend it. If interested, the link is below. But let's move over to 35 millimeter. So 35 millimeter, 2.8. This is what that looks like. Back up a little bit. So obviously the further back you go, the bokeh isn't as blurred out. The autofocus between this and the 24 to 105 is essentially the same. So what we're looking at is kind of the look, the comparison. All right, let's go to 50 millimeter. So we are at 50 millimeter. You're gonna get a little bit more blown up background right there. Blown up, blown out. Blown out background. Gotta make sure I don't say that in an airport. That's why we don't do these tests there. So anyways, we have got nice bokeh with the 50 millimeter. And I always like the look of the 50. The 70 is good on this as well. But 35 to 70 on the 2.8 does look good. All right, so now we are gonna move over onto the 70 millimeter. So here we are, 70 millimeter, and the 2.8 actually looks really good, doesn't it? I like the compression on the face. And here we'll back up a little bit. So it is a little bit blurred out in the background still, even at 70 here. Not bad. So what we are gonna do is we are gonna now go to f4 because this is the common denominator for the f-stop for the 24-105 and this one, and then we can do that comparison. So we are at f4 and it is at 24 millimeters here on the 2.8 version, the 24-70. So this is what that looks like. It is still really sharp, it looks good, and when you get close like this, the background does blur up a little bit. Not as much, obviously, as the 2.8, but the f4 does look good. Okay, we are gonna go to 35 millimeters. So 35 millimeters at the f4 on the 24-70 2.8. And this is what that looks like. I'm gonna get a little bit closer in just a bit here, and then you can kind of see what kind of blur out you can get. And then we can also do that comparison with the 24-105 version. So not bad. The thing I like about f4 is that you do get some information in the background. So for environmental, people know exactly where you are, the scenario, and it tells a better story. Otherwise, if it's really blown out, it's just the portraiture. All right, now it gets really interesting. This is f4, 50 millimeters on the 24-70, and it does look blurred out in the background. So if you're this close to a subject, it's blurred out, but you can still see the environment. I'm gonna walk away and yeah, get a little bit further down the driveway here. Tracking on the R6 Mark II is fantastic, and if you don't have this camera and you've been eyeing it, you won't be disappointed. And here's 70 millimeters, obviously more blurred out, more compression right here. We'll get out into the frame, and not bad. So 70 millimeters, you get that nice reach, you get some more information out here. It does make a good walk around lens. The 24-70 2.8 is heavier though, obviously, than the 24-105. That being said, I will say this already, the 24-105 is an amazing travel companion on a full frame camera like the R6 Mark II. Also, we're gonna find out if it is a good travel companion on the R7 to get even extra reach if you don't need wide and you want more of that 35 millimeter look, and that's the way to go. So f4, let's move over to the 24-105. We are at 24 millimeters, just to verify, yes, 24 millimeters, f4 on the Canon 24-105, obviously f4. And so this is that comparison. We'll get a little bit closer here and back up. Yeah, this is not normal weather here in Wisconsin in February. Usually we have a ton of snow. We didn't have any on the ground pretty much yesterday. This just landed dusting earlier this morning. Otherwise, 40s later this week. This is very weird. I actually like snow. All right, 35 millimeters, f4. By the way, did I mention that this is not scientific? This is just real world purposes. I don't know if you could hear, we have a school right over there, and you could just hear these kids screaming. What are they learning over there? How to go into a corner and cry? So as we zoom in further, obviously the further away I'm gonna go too, but let's go over to 50 millimeters. All right, 50 millimeters on the 24-105. Man, this is a great lens. I am biased, only because I have both of them, and I will say this is an amazing lens for travel, but it really is up to you if you are looking at the 24-70 2.8 or the RF f4 version of the 24-105. So 50 millimeters f4, does it look similar to what it looked like over on the 24-70 2.8? Maybe. I will tell you, they might be slightly different. I don't know. I'm gonna find this out at the same time. Let's go over to 70 millimeters. So 70 millimeters, and again, not scientific at all. This is just kind of real world practice, the look, the feel. I will tell you optically, these are both very amazing lenses. I'm not gonna do a pixel peep on this. I'm just gonna show you that the image quality and the look, because that's really what you're looking for, is the look of the camera, and does the f4 do enough for you? Does that extra reach that this gets do it really for you? Because I will tell you, we're at 70 right now. We're gonna hit 85 after this, and then we're gonna go 105 and see what that looks like. Because that 85 and that 105 might make the 2.8 not that worth it. It may be better to go with the f4 version because that 85 and a 105 compression is pretty awesome. Okay, 85, more compressed. Background should be now getting more blurrier than that. Obviously the 70 was with the 2.8. The 105 really does. So this is what that looks like. Plus you get more zoom. So if this is a walk around lens for you, then obviously you're going to get a lot more detail and information in there. And right now I have a long driveway, so I can't even see myself in the LCD screen over there. Obviously this is a good tracking as well, but that has very little to do with the lenses at this point and more to do with the R6 Mark II. So here is the 105. Obviously I need to back up a little bit to make sure I'm all in the frame. So I would say, if I had to guess, I'm probably about 7 feet away from the camera right there. I can still see myself in the viewfinder, which is good. Awesome compression at 105. Background does have information, so you know the environment I'm in, but it's not that distracting. So let's go back here and see what that 105 looks like. Now the 70 to 200, wow. That compression at about 135, 150 and on to 200 is super impressive. How do I look right here? Do I look pretty cool? My eyes have been watering all day. So again, not very scientific, but this is at 24 millimeters at the 24 to 72.8, and which would be more equivalent to like a 35 millimeter here on focal length. So this will give you an idea of that. And so the nice thing about using the Canon R7 is that now you get a 1.6 crop and you're not compromising the f-stop at all. So let's move it to 35 millimeter. So 35 millimeter times 1.6 is, yeah, do the math. You can figure it out. I can't because I don't have ChatGPT on me right now. And 50 millimeters, which is 1.6 times, you got it. There's math there. This is what that looks like. And again, this could be the alternative to actually getting a 24 to 105, just get the 24 to 72.8. And then for about $1,200, you could pick up a Canon R7, and now you have 1.6 times crop with 32 megapixels. You could do that with any lens. 1.6, I'm gonna do a video on this, by the way. A video on why everybody should have a crop sensor camera along with their full frame. And here is 70 millimeters at 2.8. Look at this. Look at that blur. Look at that. It just crops in so much with the Canon R7, but you get that focal length that is around 112 millimeters. So you surpass that 105 of the 24 to 105. Let's go back by this tree, do my pose. Hopefully it's focused on me. And yeah, this will be the comparison video here. All right, we are 24 to 105 f4, and we are at 24 millimeters, obviously f4. So we are just gonna kind of show what that gets on here. So once we get to about 85 and 105, you're gonna see how much more it actually does go. So f4, is it blurry enough for you? Kind of walk back here, walk towards it, and get this close. So 35 millimeters, f4, and boy is this lens light. Just to put it on the camera to walk around with the Canon R7. The R7 is obviously lighter than the R6, but not by much, actually. The R7 does offer a lot of tech inside of it, so it isn't that much lighter, but this is what 35 millimeters looks like. Let's go to 50. There is 50. I might have bumped the tripod a little bit, so it might have shifted, but again, not scientific, Jaredific. It's gonna be in Wikipedia, based off of Jared Hoyman. Jaredific testing. What is that? Something random. 70 millimeters, here we are, eye-watering, just a leaky eye. Does anybody else have leaky eye out there? So 70 millimeters is definitely got more of a crop here. This is as far as obviously the 24 to 70 could get. So let's do this. We're gonna go to 85, then 105, and that 105 is 105 times 1.6. That's what that is. So 85 millimeters, here we are. Let's go down the driveway, making my neighbors, you know, wonder what I do for a living. It isn't YouTube. It's just, you know, side hobby. But if you like these kind of tests, you can make my side hobby into a full-time job one day by subscribing and liking this video. That would be awesome. 105. I have to really back up out of here with that 1.6 crop. So we are at 105. Let me go back to the tree. Hopefully I'm framed in somewhat. So, wow, this is quite the distance. Hopefully I'm in that frame. We'll walk back here a little bit. How does that look? All of a sudden, you get a huge zoom on this 24 to 105 with a Canon R7. Again, video comparing the R7 with the R6 Mark II, but not really. I just want to tell you that everybody should own an R7 or any kind of APS-C if they're a full frame shooter primarily. So what did you think? Did you like the 24 to 72.8 or the 24 to 105 RF f4 better? They're both amazing. This one was awesome on my vacation. I love it. And I love the f4 lightness. This isn't that much heavier, but when you're traveling, it does become that way. I will add this though, and I didn't say this out there, the 24 to 70 actually lives on my Canon R7 the majority of the time when I do these talking head videos because I'm shooting at 24 millimeter at 2.8 and it does give kind of an epic look. But the other disclaimer is this. If you're a video person, f4 is the choice for most cinematographers. f4, f5.6. Cinematographers prefer the f4 because they are telling more of a story and they want to have more than just the person's nose or their eyeball in focus. They want more of that person's body in there as well. Especially if there's another actor alongside them, they don't want that person completely blown out, even if the focus is on one over the other. But again, Jarretific, it isn't scientific, and it is totally subjective in what works best for you and your budget. And maybe both of these are out of your budget, but if you are looking at one of these, you can't go wrong with either. That being said, if you did like this comparison, even though it is not scientific, it's just my way of doing things and just showing you, hit that like button. And if you haven't already, please subscribe, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Holy cow, you are still here, and I am impressed with you for sticking around. And if you're gonna stick around this long, you might as well stick around a little longer and watch those videos over there. They're pretty impressive.